So today we are learning how to market Gen Z the right way. Globally, Gen Z represents about $450 billion in spending power each year, and that's a lot, really a lot. If you can see an average per consumer of $8,000 per consumer, that's an opportunity for us as marketeers to dive into this Gen Z market. So let's take a look on how your business can tap into this opportunity. I'm Pauline. I'm the head of digital strategy at the Fat Lady. We are a content marketing agency based in Ghent. And I'm officially a Gen Zer also. I'm 26 years old. So let's dive into this presentation. There are a lot of presentations and a lot of definitions about Gen Z, but I use this one. Gen Z is also known as Generation Z, Zs, Zoomers, or post-millennials, and they are roughly defined anyone born between 1997 and 2012. So everyone currently aged between 12 and 27. And if we are looking through some numbers, we are seeing that Gen Z is the largest, wealthiest, and highest spending generation in history. If you can see in this graph, we are the dark blue line. And even in 2030, we surpass millennials in spending power. So that is really an opportunity for marketeers to see Gen Z as an important target audience. And it's giving iconic because Gen Z represents about 20% of the US population. Even worldwide, we represent 23% of the population. So that's really a lot. And here you can see the graph also that we are 23% of the global population. But why are a lot of Gen Zs or a lot of brands ignoring Gen Z as a target audience? They don't know the target audience. They don't know how to reach them, on which channels they are, with what message to address them, and so on. So that brings us to the next chapter, the usage of the channels. And if you are thinking about Gen Z and you think about what channels they are using, TikTok comes up. But if you are looking up the figures, we are seeing that YouTube is the most used platform among Gen Z. They are using it mostly for educational content, but also for some gaming content. That's a really important insight. Followed by Instagram, for example, TikTok, Snapchat, and Facebook declines the most among Gen Z, but that is not a new trend. If we dive into the channels, as I said before, YouTube is the most used platform among Gen Z for educational content and more gaming content. But with the rise of their newest format, YouTube Shorts, you can see that Gen Z is introduced to the platform and is using it, for example, to create some videos, to create content and post it also online. And YouTube Short is Google's answer to TikTok, which exploded in popularity. You can watch a wide range of videos from music, gaming, to beauty content. If we are looking to TikTok, we are seeing that they are using it for more education also, but also to follow their influencers and content creators. TikTok is not about dancing anymore. It is a fast-growing channel among the Gen Z, the fastest. And they create and consume content there, ranging from looking up reviews, but also to connect with their content creators and influencers. If we take a look on Instagram, then they are using Instagram more for branded content. They are also used to see more branded content on the platform. And a really cool insight on that is that Gen Z mostly uses the placement such as a Reels and a Stories. So if you want to invest in Gen Z, really use these two placements: Stories to tap to do further ones, and Reels to consume more video content. And then the last one is Snapchat. They don't want ads on Snapchat, so don't advertise on Snapchat. But if you can create a filter, they are going to be a hit with Gen Z, because they are liking to connect with their friends on Snapchat, and they use the filters and different lenses to send some pictures to their friends. So the key takeaway, and the first one of today, is create content that is adapted to each channel, and make sure you're present on multiple platforms. And we will see today some cases that are explaining that further in the presentation. And Gen Z broke the marketing funnel. We all know this classic marketing funnel, from awareness to consideration to conversion. In the awareness phase, we make our brands aware with some great ads. Then in remarketing, we provide them with more information, more educational content. And in the conversion phase, we want them to make an action. For example, a hard or a soft conversion, such as an email subscription, or for example, a page scroll. And then in the last phase, we want them to be part of the community. We want them to buy the brands or buy the products again, and are likely to be ambassadors of our brand. But this funnel doesn't work anymore for Gen Z. They want social as they're using social platforms are as their primary source for information. And they use it for three big main reasons, such as news consumption. They are using it to looking up news, looking up new trends. They're using it for learning about products and buying products, for example, on a TikTok, on Instagram, and connecting with friends, for example, on Snapchat. So today's consumption is an infinitive loop of inspiration, exploration, community, and loyalty. And as you can see here, inspiration is more, for example, reviews from influencers or content creators. The exploration phase is to give more information about your brand and your products. The loyalty phase is really give them values that they can align with their values, and a community is make them part of a community of your brand. And I'm going to explain these phases step by step. So 80% of Gen Zers look for inspiration on social media. That's nothing new. But really interesting on that is that 50% is cautious about brand authenticity. So that's an opportunity for us. Because we need to create content that covers all of their experiences. And we need to start with the beginning, the inspiration phase. So what we can do in the inspiration phase is these want to find inspiration constantly, versus millennials want more practical information. If you look or do research yourself, you can see that millennials are searching for more product information online. For example, how much costs this product, and if you are looking to Gen Z, for example, they want more reviews from influencers. They are not going directly to the shop and buy something. Even 50% of Gen Z says they scroll through a website of a brand with no real intention of a purchase of that moment. Even 64% discouraged from making a purchase if they weren't able to find any reviews online. So we need to invest in validation as a brand. And that's really important for us. As you can see here in this example, this girl is explaining on TikTok what she finds about her new sneakers. She reviews them, and talks about it in a video of 1 minute. So we need to create more testimonials with our brand. We need to adapt it to Gen Z. And we get validation, for example, from peers. We can ask, for example, in social copy, some questions. For example, what do you find about this product? Would you buy it again? And so on. Another tip I can give you is show the process, for example, behind your brand. You can do it with employees to make employees as an ambassador for your brand and make a connection with your audience. So 40% of Gen Zs look for reviews for online influencers. And a good case on that is Rode Beauty. Rode Beauty is a brand of Hailey Bieber, also known as the wife of Justin Bieber. And she launched 2 years ago, I think, Rode with a beauty brand with really clear values. As you can see here on this slide, simplicity, affordability, authenticity, quality, and transparency. She uses herself as the face of the brand and as a content creator or an influencer for the brand. And for example, with every launch of a new product, she teases herself with her product on an Instagram, for example, and a TikTok. She aligns it also with her communication. Her values are really clear and pulls it through her communication. For example, here on the website, you can see the testimonials of real customers. For example, on Instagram, they post a review of it and she creates it on her website. You can find the ingredients of her product, so it's really transparent. Also, she works with a really clear purpose. As you can see here in this example, she stands for women empowerment and she's supported also. For example, she supports Black Mama Matter Alliance. So a best practice on that in a collaboration, some do's and don'ts. If you want to work with an influencer or a content creator, don't focus only on follower count or a big reach or big impressions. Ask really for some data. For example, make a data-driven selection on demographics based on profile views, on an engagement rate that you want to reach, and discuss that with the content creator so that you have really clear briefings there. So the key takeaway on this is know yourself and your markets. For example, Hailey Bieber uses herself and her popularity to influence and promote her products. The second one is quality over quantity. For example, don't launch with a bunch of products, but she launches with 3 products, and really work with a purpose. And if you can, support, for example, also organizations who stands for your values. Next up is another insight, online versus offline, because 74% of Gen Zs think in real life experiences are more important than digital ones. And a good case on that is Dove. Dove stands for Years for Beauty in Women. And with the AI, they saw there were a lot of pictures generated by AI. For example, if you are scrolling through your Pinterest board, you are going to see a lot of AI generated images. And 1 in 3 women feel the pressure to change something on their appearance because of what they see online. So in their new campaign, they launched the Real Beauty Prompt Playbook, where they are launching a whole playbook where they learn you how to write a good prompt to generate it or to generate realistic images. So as you can see here, you are learning with a prompt book how you can write a good prompt. For example, here, a woman with acne scars that generates realistic images. And you can see the images here. For example, on the left side, you see a real picture of Dove, and on the right side, you see an AI generated image, but a real one. And that's for us as marketeers an opportunity or an insight. If we are making campaigns, be aware of realistic images. We don't need also, or sometimes we don't need someone who is fully in makeup look. We need realistic images on that. Because imperfection for Gen Z is a new status symbol. They want it to be real, they want it to be authentic. That brings us to the exploration phase. 70% of Gen Z only trust a brand after carrying out their own research. And for brands, that becomes an opportunity during the research to buy process. And a good case on that is Loop Earplugs. Loop Earplugs is a brand that makes earplugs that looks really well like jewelry. Their main target audience is 18 until 25 years. And they're really doing a good job on marketing. They are getting a lot of reviews for free from content creators, but also from own customers. They're working also together with a lot of influencers to promote their products. And they are getting a lot of reviews on Google, for example, that boosts their SEO. But if we are taking a look on their socials, we also see that they are searchable. They use social search. So what is social search? As you can see here in this example, you are searchable on, for example, a TikTok. As you can see here, if you take Loop Earplugs in a TikTok, you are getting review, a code for sleep, for teacher, and so on. So you appear in, for example, not only on Google on the first page, but also on an Instagram, on a Pinterest, on a Facebook, on an TikTok, and so on. But how do you do it? And is TikTok the next big search engine? I think it will be, and even the Google senior vice president admits it. Last year in the Congress, he said that almost 40% of young people, when they're looking for a place for lunch, they don't go to Google Maps anymore. They go to TikTok or Instagram to look it up. But why are they searching on TikTok? For them, it feels more organic to look it up on Google. For example, they are getting videos, explains. They are not likely to read an article anymore. It is easier to find out what they are looking for on a TikTok than, for example, on Google. And the content is more personalized. The algorithm keeps it going, and it's more visual appealing to them. So some best practices on that, on how you can invest in social search, is, for example, a hashtag strategy. As you do some keyword research from SEO, you can do the same for a hashtag strategy. You can use, for example, a tool named Answer the Public, where you can look up what are the search volumes for a keyword, and you can make an Excel with some hashtags that you can adapt in your social copy or your bio and so on. Then the next one is use relevant keywords also in the captions, in your social copy, in comments, but also in your bio. And create local content. For example, if you make a video here in Belgium, tag the city, for example, or even the place where the content is made. Then the fourth one is encourage engagement. For example, boost the algorithm by asking some questions in social copy, or make a poll to get engagement. And create lists to group content. For example, in a YouTube Shorts or in a TikTok, you can group all the content and make one list, for example, with FAQs. And work consistently. You can post, for example, every month or every week so that you can boost the algorithm also. So the key takeaway here is invest in social search, optimized content. The third phase is the community phase. So 50% of Gen Z's favorite brands are the ones that make them feel like they're part of a community. And a little set on that is, as you saw before in my presentation, Gen Z is the highest spending and the wealthiest generation, but also the loneliest generation. And a really good case on that is Matt Happy. Matt Happy is an LA brand that made or makes some good hoodies, but they are doing a really good job in communication also. They are having a biannual magazine where they are making stories about people who are supporting mental health. They make videos about it. They have also some notebooks to write down your emotions and so on. And they are investing in mental health by supporting also organizations who invest in mental health. So the conclusion here is stop trying to be cool the old way, but do it the right way. And what is the old way? It don't needs to be picture perfect. Don't need an Instagram perfect grid. The new way is to build up a community first movement and to align Gen Z also with your values. So some do's and don'ts there. Community isn't a membership anymore or replying to a few comments. It is really an audience that see themselves in your brand, followers who tell their friends about you, and then brand fans who are passionately look for ways to get involved. For example, Hailey Bieber also asks a lot of feedback and she implements it in her products. So we need to facilitate more authentic connections there. Also, 80% of US Gen Zs feel emotionally and mentally exhausted from using dating apps, for example. As you can see here, this is a collab between Arana and Tinder, the biggest dating app in the US. And they are using offline events to create connections. They're organizing some runs in the city to meet new people and to run together. And they first launched it in the UK, but now they are rolling it out to other countries because it is really a success. We are organizing it also here in Ghent, in Belgium, to run together and to learn new people. And that brings us to the last one, the loyalty phase. Loyalty to a brand isn't defined by a purchase anymore, according Gen Z. Gen Z expects a brand that has good values, that aligns with them. And what are the most important ways to show that? I will show you here. Loving that brand, even if you don't purchase it. Often buy that product, and then the last one is only buying that brand and never trying one of its competitors. So the conclusion is there is no start or end point for Gen Z. They don't follow the funnel as you know him, the classic one. They want an infinitive loop, a continue loop of inspiration, exploration, community, and loyalty. And we need to adapt our content to all of these phases. So the 5 key takeaways of today are create content that covers all of their experiences. The second one is make content searchable. For example, make it searchable on a Pinterest, but also on a TikTok. And work together with your audience. Use user-generated content. Work together with some peers. Make testimonials. Show really your customers in, for example, TikToks. And don't only invest in online content, but also invest in real life content. You don't have to organize also or always an offline event, but also in pictures, for example, as we've seen before in the Dove case, use real images, real videos with real people. And the last one is stop trying to be cool, but just try it, own it, test it, and implement it. So I hope that your brand is ready for Gen Z after this session.